Welcome to Module 14, and in this particular module we're going to take a look at Entity Framework relationships. And now that we have some data that is related, we've got users that want to attend activities, and our activities can have users as attendees, we need to take a look at these relationships inside our application. So let's take a look at what's coming up in this particular module. And what we're going to take a look at, of course, is Entity Framework relationships. And in this particular case, what we need is a many-to-many type of relationship, but we'll take a look at the different types of relationships very soon. We're also going to be creating DTOs, and these are data transfer objects. And these allow us to shape the type of data that we're returning. Because our activities are going to have users as attendees, we don't want to send back the full user object. Instead, we want to shape the data in a different way. And to help us map our properties from our entities to our DTOs, we're going to take a look at a package called AutoMapper to help us take away some of the tedious mapping code we would need to write to map the properties in our entities to our DTOs. And we're also going to take a look at two different ways of loading related data. We're going to take a look at eager loading, and we're going to take a look at lazy loading in order to load and return this related data from our database. So there's three different types of relationships we can have in a database. We can have a one-to-one, and an example of this kind of relationship would be a user and their address. And it's the simplest kind of relationship to configure. Another kind of relationship we could have is a one-to-many. And we won't be configuring this one yet, but we will do later. And each of our users in our application can have many photos. And a third type of relationship would be a many-to-many. Now, there's no direct support in Entity Framework Core for many-to-many relationships. And what we need to do to achieve a many-to-many relationship is kind of configure two separate one-to-many relationships. Now, our activities are going to be able to have many attendees, and these attendees are our users. Also, a user is going to be able to attend many activities. And that's what I'm referring to when I'm saying many-to-many relationship. But the way we need to configure this in Entity Framework Core is to treat this as two separate one-to-many relationships. And what we're going to have is a join table, which in this case is going to be user activities. And this is going to join our two entities and allow us to have an activity that has many users and a user that's attending many activities. And this is how it's going to look in our database. So we have a user activities table, which is acting as our join table. And there are advantages to using a join table in this way, because this allows us to configure additional properties that are just related to the fact that a user is an attendee of an activity. So for instance, the two additional properties that we're adding here is the date they joined the activity, and also a boolean to specify whether or not they're the host of an activity. And then we've just got our two tables, the ASP.NET Users table and the Activities table. So this is what we're going to be configuring in this particular section, and let's just take a look at the before and after in this particular case. So at the moment we can go and get our activities, and we can display our activities as we see now. And if we go and get an activity, great, we see an activity, but it doesn't have any attendee details. And where we're going with this is what we're going to do is, when we get an activity, we're going to return attendees with this activity as well. And also for the individual activity, we'll be able to return that and get an individual user. But we're also going to be configuring the ability for users to join an activity in this particular section as well. So this is where we're going with this, and let's begin configuring it.